A long and distinguished career in politics, first in the composite Assam and then in Meghalaya, Captain Williamson Sangma belonged to the Garo community. Born of the parents of sturdy peasant stock, Gongsun S. Marak and his wife Nomalini A. Sangma on 18th of October 1919 at Bakmara, now the headquarters of South Garo Hills, on the bank of Someswari River at extreme Indo-Bangla border. There were altogether 9 brothers and sisters, and Captain Sangma was the second to the last. During those days, his parents and his grand-uncle Bong A. Sangma Laskar were the well-known families in that area. They had a luxurious life when his father was still alive. But soon after the father expired in 1920, their living condition deteriorated, their fortune seemed to have vanished. Mostly, it was Captain Sangma and his brother Hickinson Sangma who had to face a very hard life. At that time, nobody could have imagined that one day the very same Captain Sangma, who had such hard life, would become the great leader of the state and even become its chief minister. Captain Sangma had his early education at Bakmara Lower Primary School, then was brought to Tura by his brother-in-law, late Emerson Moomin, and read up to class 5 at Government Middle English School, then completed his class 6 at Nishangram Middle English School. Then he passed his matriculation from PR Government High English School, Gwalpara in Assam. After that, he did his Intermediate of Arts from Dhaka Jagannath Intermediate College, then East Bengal, now Bangladesh. Then he graduated from Christian College of Serampore under Calcutta University. Only after graduation, he returned to Tura. While studying in Serampore College in Calcutta, Captain Sangma experienced a deep sense of love and affection for his fellow men. The distance and his loneliness among the people of other communities made him realize the importance of communal identity. He saw the other states progressing and developing. This instilled in him an earnest desire to see his own people march towards the same goal. So, this very sentiment was voiced by him in an article titled Ama Asong, meaning motherland, in a Garo literary magazine, Achak Kurang, in 1941, in the March issue, which read as, "I cannot say that today my voice carries the words of good advice, or whether my writing will make my voice more palatable. Although I am unable to voice competent advice or write inspirational writing simply by voicing it in this journal, I'm showing my earnest desire to cooperate and coordinate with you all. Today, my voice will not vanish into oblivion, but I believe that its echoes will resound in the hearts of my dear friends. I hope those echoes of this voice will resound throughout the whole Achak land and may open up a way for some fruitful development for our society. Every man living in this earth under the beautiful bright sun loves his motherland the most. I'm glad to know that this is a fact." With the Second World War, came the lure of uniformed service, and Captain Sangma joined the Bengal Pioneer as a commissioned officer and was afterwards promoted to the rank of captain, finally leaving an active service at the end of the war in 1946. Not being one to remain idle, Captain returned home to test his mettle in the political world, which was around 1946 or 1947. In 1948, he got married to late Gladys C.H. Moomin. They had 6 children. Perhaps in the post-independence and in the political history of the entire Northeast, one had not seen a single person who had much influences on the happenings of the entire region as Captain Sangma did. He had a towering personality, a veteran, and a dynamic leader who possessed all the virtues and qualities with the vision.
Captain Williamson A. Sangma was a very towering personality. He had all the qualities of leadership with clarity of thought, and he knew what he was doing. He had a tremendous mass following. He was indeed a leader of the masses.
I always remember Captain Williamson S. Sangma, who was the veteran and dynamic leader of the Northeast and who have fought sincerely and honestly to bring the separate statehood of Meghalaya with a view to uplift the indigenous tribal people of the Northeast and manage the reign of administration according to the genius and ethnic necessities. During the time of Captain W.S. Sangma, who has become the first Chief Minister of Meghalaya, till he accepts the prestigious office of governorship to the state of Mizoram, there was not much law and order problem in the state of Meghalaya, and the people in general seems to be happy and satisfied with the administration of the state, and whatever developmental works are executed with a few crores of rupees in the state budgetary in comparison to Meghalaya today. Captain W. Sangma possesses all virtues and qualities of leadership because he was not only the leader in the state of Meghalaya, but the whole northeastern states also regard him as dynamic, capable, and intelligent leader.
Captain Sangma was my friend, my philosopher, and my guide. Captain Sangma believed what the King Solomon, the wisest king ever lived on earth, said, "Where there is no vision, people perish." He had the vision even before he accepted military commission. He was the man of the masses. He was helpful to the less privileged people of the community and conscious of their problems. Captain Sangma entered active politics alive in 1952 as a man committed not to political but to social welfare. People responded to his sincerity with abundant affection, and his friends gave him their absolute trust.
Having been successful in the struggle for the creation of autonomous Garo Hills District Council and the state of Meghalaya as the first chief executive member and the first chief minister, respectively, Captain remained the much respected and the towering tribal personality till his last day.
After India wins freedom in the first general election to the autonomous Garo District Council in 1952, Captain Sangma contested, elected, and he became its first chief executive member. Later came more intense association with political life when he became the chairman of the Eastern India Tribal Union. In 1957, he was elected as a member of the Assam Legislative Assembly, and the following year he joined the cabinet of Chaliha Ministry and looked after the Department of Tribal Areas and Transport Department. But when the Assamese language bill was passed in State Assembly, in spite of strong opposition from the tribal people, he resigned from the cabinet.
During the composite state of Assam, Captain W.S. Sangma was also the minister in charge of tribal affairs. But due to language issue, he left his office of ministership and sacrificed himself for the welfare and upliftment of his own tribal people, and felt the need to fight for separate statehood for the tribals of the Northeast and organize the same in the Northeast.
What was more important was his idea of achieving the separate hill state for the tribals of the region through peaceful and non-violent movement.
Perhaps some of his qualities, some of his life can be compared with Ashoka. After Kalinga War, Ashoka the Great gave up violence. Captain Sangma, after having served Indian Army in the capacity of a captain during the Second World War, having seen violence, when he came back, he gave up violence. He truly believed in non-violence. That is precisely the reason why, as a leader of the Hill State movement, he never allowed any violence. He achieved his aim of having a tribal state through peaceful means, without resorting to any violence. Indeed, I remember that one very eminent journalist, Mr. Guru Dev, who was a senior correspondent of the Statesman, described Captain Sangma as the Gandhi of the Northeast. These days, we see a lot of violence in the Northeast. People claim to have political aspirations, and in order to achieve the so-called political aspirations, people are resorting to violence these days. We should remember Captain Sangma today. Armed struggle or violence is not only the means to achieve our goal. In fact, our goal can be achieved much faster, in a much dignified way, if we do it through non-violence, through peaceful means. This is a great lesson that today all those brothers who are struggling for their political aspirations, they should give up violence. They can achieve their goal through peaceful means. Captain Sangma has proved it, and we should follow his path.
Captain Sangma followed the Gandhian way of struggle by adopting non-violence movement. He has a far vision, and he knew that violence will not bring any good outcome and will not achieve the goal. During his struggle for separate statehood, many a times processions were launched, and most people used to obey and follow his commands. There were no violent activities and there was no bloodshed, even though it took many years to achieve the statehood.
In 1960, Captain Sangma organized the All-Party Hill Leaders Conference and was elected leader of the movement, demanding a separate state for Garo, Khasis and Jaintia.
When Chelsea was born, he was elected its president and continued as president of the party till the separate hill state of Meghalaya was achieved. He was the first chief minister of full-fledged state of Meghalaya and was the longest serving chief minister of Meghalaya state for about 12 years. He had the requisite qualities of leadership. It was essentially he who maintained the APHLC as a well-knit party.
Captain Sangma lost his wife during this movement in 1964, but he remarried her younger sister Betty Davis Moman as per the Garo customary law. They were blessed with 5 children and many grandchildren. The Hill State movement soon bore fruit in 1970, and an interim government was set up, and Captain Sangma was elected the first chief minister. He retained this position even when Meghalaya attained full-fledged statehood in 1972. Except for 2 brief interludes, he remained as the chief minister till 1988. During his tenure as chief minister, many developmental works were achieved.
During his tenure as chief ministership, many developmental works has been achieved. To eradicate illiteracy, many educational institutions has come up. To promote the health facilities, many primary health centers were constructed and hospitals were upgraded, and he has uplifted the overall standard of living of the tribals since then. During his tenure as chief minister of the state, he kept a good relationship with the non-tribals, and they too, in return, always loved him and regarded him as their trusted leader. There was no communal hatred between the different communities because Captain Sangma always thought the welfare of the other non-tribals who were the permanent residents of the state. Business and industries run by the non-tribals flourished well, and security and understanding prevailed between the local people during his tenure.
Then Captain Sangma wrested a victory in the election to the parliament from Tura constituency and was elected Member of Parliament in July 1988. He continued as MP till he was appointed as Governor of Mizoram till February 1990. Captain Sangma was a man of integrity and courage. He had concern for his fellowmen and every individual. He was the natural choice for obvious reasons.
I had followed him for many years. I have learned so much of things from him. One of the things that I I cannot forget is the concern Captain Sangma had for his people, for his followers. He used to take care of every individual who was with him. For example, if we visit a particular place, he would ensure that his driver, his security man, his police escort pilot, everybody had eaten first. Otherwise, he would never eat. He would try to find out whether they have a place to sleep. That's the kind of equality a leader should have. You see, looking after people who are working for him, who are all the time with him. And there are many leaders in this country who doesn't bother about those people, whether they have eaten, whether they are sleeping, whether they have problem in the family, nothing. They are just treated like ordinary human beings. No, Captain Sangma used to treat each and everybody equal. One day, I was sitting with him in his residence in Tula, and people were already full in his house. And he was sitting in his usual chair. Then an old man, ordinary village man, entered his house, and there was no chair left for him or a place. Captain Sangma went to the gate, to the door, brought him, he received him, vacated his own chair, and made that old man from a village sit in his. The old man was not willing to sit, but he forced him. That's the kind of respect. That's the kind of recognition Captain Sangma used to give. I think the younger generation must learn a lot of things from those people.
Captain W. Sangma was an incorrupt, dynamic, and capable leader who has the long vision of the future and peace-loving man. He is also very generous and selfless, and he dealt the poor and rich, literate and illiterate without any distinction. As a leader, Captain W. Sangma was unique in possessing all the good qualities to be a leader, and hence the law and order situation does not exist during his tenure. Since every citizen knows that he is not a corrupt politician, where there is rampant corruption, it always follows with dissatisfaction and chaos in the minds of the people. Hence, everybody admires Captain W. Sangma and remember him till today, and there is none to fill the void created after his premature death in the state of Meghalaya.
Captain Sangma was a great democrat who could discipline the political party all the time, and he was also a great architect of Meghalaya state. His experience as captain of the army, his great reasoning power, his forceful, persuasive eloquence, his tact in handling delicate situations, his passion to listen attentively, his balance of mind, his power to assess any situation, his diplomacy, and his sound judgment, all these qualities of head and heart contributed a great deal towards building up effective tradition in Garo Hills politics.
Characteristically stoic and often brusque and to the point, Captain Sangma became a household name in every Garo village and created a special place for himself in the hearts of the people. Captain Sangma left for his heavenly abode on the 25th of October 1990. His death has removed one of Meghalaya's most charismatic politicians and one of the men responsible for its creation. He leaves behind a legacy of identity and pride in each and every Garo. This is his greatest gift to his people, the children, women, and men of the hills. In his death, the people of this region have lost a father figure. They and their inheritors will remember him always. Indeed, with his death came an end to a saga, as indeed the end of an era of politics that Meghalaya will only, with an incredible amount of luck, witness again.